Well, winter's on the wane and spring is almost sprung. Among other things, that means it's time for the national pastime to reemerge and ballparks everywhere to echo with those immortal words, play ball.
Here you go.
And here at our place, it's never too early to start spring training.
Where's your ball? Okay, here we go. Watch Daddy. See, watch Daddy. See, he's going to throw the ball up in the air, right, like this. He's going to throw it up in the air, and he... Uh-oh.
Don't tell Mommy.
Ron, what happened? Oh my God.
I'm sorry, hon, I'm sorry. Actually, I was giving Danielle some batting lessons and had a foul ball down the first baseline, and, that's the result.
What are we gonna do?
Well, normally I just take out the pane of glass and replace it, but you've been unhappy with this window for a long time. So maybe we just replace the whole thing, give you something that's a little more energy efficient, cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter.
Your foul ball, I get a new window?
My foul, your home run.
Good.
Well, the new window's arrived, and not a bit too soon, I might add. Lynn hasn't been real happy staring at that piece of cardboard while she does the dishes. So I head out to my van and grab my tool bag, because the first thing I need to do is remove the window casings on the inside. A wide putty knife gets things started. Then I bring out my arsenal of pry bars to nudge the casing free. Next, I move outside to dispense with that casing. I use a magnet to locate nails that are buried below countless coats of paint. Then I extract them using a nail puller designed to dig deeply and grip like a bulldog on a T-bone steak. With most of the larger nails gone, I can pry off the trim with very little hassle. Well, the window's finally free, and I'm working alone today, so as an added precaution, I put a couple of handles on here so I can keep a good grip on this. So I think it's time to see if we can actually get this out of here. Well, now I have a gaping hole in my kitchen wall, but hopefully not for long. Before I can put in the new window, though, I need to prepare the opening. That means cutting away the shingles around the edges. The key here is to set the depth of cut on the circular saw just deeply enough to slice through the shingles without cutting into the framing underneath. The opening is just a bit too large for the new window, so I add strips of 3/8-inch plywood and secure them in place with galvanized nails. Now, watertight integrity is crucial when installing a replacement window. To make sure this one won't leak, I'm slipping aluminum tape underneath the shingles along the top of the window opening. I'm also applying adhesive-backed metal tape to the bottom. To make a good seal at the corners, I snip the tape and fold it over onto the face of the framing. One final strip along the back edge, and I pronounce this opening properly prepared. Well, our rough opening is the correct size and sealed against moisture. Now, what I have to make sure is that this bottom sill down here is perfectly flat and level. Level up here. Okay, so what I've got is a little bit of a low spot here and one over here, which means there's a small crown in the center. So I'm going to put some shims on to level this up and make it perfectly flat. I'm making the shims out of pieces of plywood and sheet metal. Once they're in position, I tack them in place. This time I lay the level on top of the shims and make a final check. Well, here's my new window. It's one of Pella's Architect series. It looks a lot like the window that we took out, and that's exactly what I wanted. Something that had a real classic look to it, but is completely up to date when it comes to energy efficiency. Now, this window is going to just sit in that opening that we've created right there, and it'll be held in place with this nailing flange, which I have to bend out to 90 degrees. That is perpendicular to the top, sides, and bottom. Now, putting in a window like this is definitely a two-person job. So I've called my friend Rick over to lend me a hand. With the window resting on the shims I've just installed, I drive in 2 nails through the flange. Then go inside to check for plumb and level. To keep everything from shifting, I slip shims between the window frame and the inside of the opening. Then it's back outside to drive in the rest of the nails, holding the flange to the framing. Next, I apply more of the adhesive-backed metal tape on top of the nailing flanges, covering the nail heads. In order to match the rest of my window exteriors, I've made my own sill by cutting it out on the table saw. Notice the top edge has a slope to carry water away from the window. A simple piece of wood trim with a drip cap attached sits in the space between the top of the window and the edge of the shingles I've cut back. I also install wood trim over the foil tape along the sides of the window. Caulking is the final step out here. Okay, well, except for a little paint, that finishes up things here on the outside. Now I'm going to move indoors and start the trim. The first thing I do inside is pack the space around the edge of the window frame with fiberglass insulation. I've also made up the interior sill myself from a piece of clear pine. A little glue on the edge, a few shots from the nail gun, and it looks like it's forever been part of the window. Next, I head out to the truck to grab the pre-primed window casing. To put it up, all I need do is cut miters on the ends and nail it in place. First the top, then the sides. Installing the hardware is the final step. Okay, honey, I'm finished.
I don't think so. Why is the cardboard still there?
Well, you got so used to looking at that, I thought maybe you'd miss it if I took it away, huh?
No, I don't think so, honey.
This is my idea of humor. Find it funny?
Oh, yes. That's funny.
You know, this window hasn't changed in its appearance a whole lot, which is good for me because I like the way it looked,
Right.
but it's a much, much better window. Metal clad on the outside, going to keep the maintenance down low. I like that. Dual pane glass, cool in the summer, warm in the winter.
Great.
Got a low E coating on the glass to reduce fading. And this is a feature I just love. You know, we like to open these windows and we can pull the screens right down.
Wow.
They're built into the window.
Wow.
And then when
That's
you
great.
don't want them,
That's great.
they just go up out of sight. They're right there.
That's really
So you
great.
got everything you need, right?
Yep.
Right.
Great new
All
windows.
right. So
Good work. Good work.
You're ready. Speaking of work, you're all set, aren't you? That's all you're going to need. I, on the other hand, got a little more spring training to do with Danielle.
I don't think so, Ron.